Skammen stilige varige nu sleif til adoir skan einach baum oran ach ranach glasis Anders nach da heiden og saran San rira odahi
1920 is the anniversary of the death of Terence McSweeney, the young Lord Mayor of Cork and Sinn Féin MP, the ardent revolutionary who died in Brixton Prison after a 74-day hunger strike. But Terence McSweeney was not the only hunger striker to die that day. The other man was Joe Murphy, who died that night in Cork jail. But Joe Murphy's story has been largely overlooked down the years until the news of a decision by government to award a 1917-21 official service medal in recognition of Joe Murphy's fight for independence, a decision which has delighted his grandniece Shirley Kelleher, who told our reporter Christopher McKevitt about the delight of her entire family.
Dylan clan I Warraku go héireann nó nach raibh ach 3 bhliain d'aois sriachta ag Seosamh. Rugadh é go mháire agus ristard I Lynn, Massachusetts, America. Chuaigh Seosamh in oiriúnt le an séal Gaelach go nádúrtha. Tógadh iad a fáil an dubh I gContae Corcaigh. Mar learóg bhí Seosamh I lár an gníomh nóair a raibh an spórt a gceist. Dimar sé an peil Gaelach, máníocht agus bauláil bóithre.
1901. Here would be his registration number, 430. Joe Murphy. His age was 3.9 years. His religion was Roman Catholic. He was from Powladuff. And here is his father's occupation, which he would have been a labourer, and his previous school, which would have been Ballinlough National School.
So he officially went to school up to 4th class. So that was the end of his primary education.
That would have been, yeah. And that would have been the limitations of his education.
Yeah.
And this would be the building he went to school in?
Correct and right.
Tháinig deir leis an gnásaigh sin ar cúigse in Éireann le óglaigh na hÉireann sa bhliain 1970. Bhí sé mar bhfuil de buan héit dar cachláin bagóid ibre héan crici.
So Cork has become the cockpit in the summer of 1920. It's the area where the British are deploying all their resources to the maximum possible effect. It's the area where the IRA is most active. I mean, there are some volunteer companies in Cork City and County who want to take more action on their own than some counties elsewhere in the country. So in the autumn of 1920 then, the British government took the decision that it was neither going to release, it certainly wasn't going to grant political status to anyone who went on hunger strike. And thus began the great hunger strikes in the autumn of 1920, both here in Cork Jail, and of course we are a few yards away from the site of the hunger strike itself, and also Terence McSweeney, who was removed to Brixton Prison in England during his hunger strike.
Joe Murphy was arrested at his home on Powladuff Road on July 15, 1920, for the possession of a revolver. Joe was taken to Cork County Jail. It was here he joined his Lord Mayor, Terence McSweeney, on hunger strike.
I suppose there's the excuse for Joe's arrest, and then you have the reason. The excuse, the occasion for the arrest was the alleged finding of materials that might be useful for bomb making. Of course, this wasn't the case. This was merely a relic of the First World War. The real reason is that he is suspected to be a member of the volunteers, an active member of the volunteers. And the British were in the business of trying to take as many of them into custody as possible, to take them off the street on any charge necessary. And of course, remember, there's also a large number of men who are simply interned without charge. So you have the British military themselves who've carried out the investigation, so-called an arrest, who are then doing the investigating and in the court. I mean, talk about a separation of the powers and a conflict of interest.
Joe's parents and siblings stayed at his bedside, helping him to sip water and hold his hand, sadly anticipating the inevitable death of their son and brother.
It was extraordinarily difficult to see your loved one disintegrate before your eyes, to be reduced to a shell of what they once were. And these are, of course, young men in the absolute prime of their life. Strong, physically fit, brave, courageous, and having to go through this torture is something which was very, very difficult for the families. There were coping mechanisms. One of the principal coping mechanisms is their religious faith. And it's very interesting, there was a very extended debate within Catholic theological circles about the morality of the hunger strike. And it's interesting that most of the Irish theologians came out and said that these men are not taking their own life, they are giving their life for their country. And their actions in prison were absolutely indistinguishable from the actions of a soldier on the field of battle who offers up his life in order to assist his colleagues. You also have mass demonstrations of, for example, the praying of the rosary becomes almost a weapon in the battle. So the men and the families knew that they weren't alone, but notwithstanding that, you are still facing the prospect of the loss, particularly for the mothers, of one of your children. Of course, you remember their moment of birth and all the effort and the worry going into nurturing them, and just of course when you think that they're out into the wide open world on their own and they don't need you anymore, it's almost at precisely the time that they need you most in terms of coping with the problems that they had to face.
Joe's neighbour and friend, John Joe Hegarty, took charge of his funeral. He carried Joe's body from this jail himself, and at a crucial moment of the funeral, when British forces attempted to take the tricolour from Joe's coffin, John Joe folded the flag into the coffin with Joe's body and closed the lid so that it could not be taken away. The young man who had lived a life of adventure and importance, though short, lies today with an eternal symbol of what he sacrificed his life for. All these events unfolded without Joe's brother Richard by his side, but this was by no choice of his own.
The Murphy family had a huge loss when Joe died, because not only did they lose one son, but Richard, who was in the Merchant Navy at the time, the family contacted him to say Joe was on hunger strike and was coming towards the end of his journey. And Richard returned through Belfast port, where he was arrested and put into Crumlin jail. Because Richard was an American citizen, had dual citizenship, the American consulate was brought in and the British forces agreed that they would release Richard, but he had to leave Ireland.
He was a legend in the family, and his sacrifice for the Republic was a point of pride for my father and his siblings. They all made a point of getting to Ireland at one point in their life in order to make the pilgrimage to the Joe Murphy house and pay their respects.
Your father told me how he died in the Cork jail.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me get choked up to even say that. Imagine that. Put him in jail and that's where he died.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Joe was given an extraordinary funeral. His body was taken from the Loch Church with over 1,000 mourners following suit. Once the heavy contingent of the British forces had cleared, Joe's comrades from H Company honoured him with a 3-shot volley over his final resting place. A witness statement from the volunteer Frank Hines reads, "Firing party attention. Everybody looked up. I marched the men around the grave, and we fired the 3-shot volley, and everyone in the crowd clapped. I had a queer feeling listening to the people clapping in the graveyard. After this incident, every young man in the area joined our company.